I'm just pointing out to the audience here that you haven't got an ear infection. You're just trying to hear me properly. Isn't it?
Absolutely. I sit there like this. Don't laugh, you're next.
Yes, an awful lot of my guests do exactly that, you know. Yeah. Now, in this new movie, there's a lot of action and car chases, and you know, did you have to follow a tough fitness program to keep yourself up to all that action?
Well, I follow a regular regime of fitness, just try to stay in fairly decent shape. But yeah, to keep up with the young guys like Charlie Sheen and some of these guys, you've got to get out there and jog a little.
Well, should you be doing all that at your age?
At 39, I don't see why not.
The characters that you have traditionally played tend to be laconic, close-mouthed, they don't say very much. Is that you, or is that an accident of the enormous success of those spaghetti westerns when you started as the man with no name and you didn't say very much, you just had the cheroot out of the corner of the mouth?
No, those are just characters that I devised at the time. They to cause a certain effect. I can be fairly closed-mouthed. I guess there's a certain amount of me in those characters. Though on the other hand, I do films occasionally like White Hunter, Black Heart, which are just the opposite, where you can't shut me up. In fact, you give me a couple jars of beer and you can't shut me up anyway.
Oh. Quick, give the man a couple of jars of beer there. It'll make him stop thinking about his ear. Now, you were once credited with single-handedly kind of reviving the Western as a film form. I mean, do you plan to make any more Western movies?
Yeah, Terry, I'm going to do one next, in fact. The next film I do, but I won't make it until next summer, but I plan to make a Western film. It's one I've owned for about 6 years, a very fine script, and it's a little bit different.
Is it getting tough riding those hard saddles now?
Well, if the blister breaks.
I think it was, of course, as Rowdy Yates in Rawhide that we saw you really, that the public really saw and grew to love you first. Do you remember that series, Rawhide, with any degree of fondness?
I don't recall it at all.
Ah.
No, I remember it very fondly, actually. Because we did some 200 and some odd episodes of that show over a 7-year period, so it was a great, it was obviously a very formative period in my lifetime.
Yeah. You then obviously got the great break in the spaghetti westerns. Did that seem like a great break at the time, or were you just desperate for the money?
Well, you never know until a film comes out, whether it's a break or not. If it comes out and is successful in it, then it's an opportunity. If it isn't successful, then you've just spent a certain amount of time. However, at that particular time in my life, it was a great adventure to go off to Europe and take a European approach to the American West. It was a very great adventure for me.
That's interesting. So when you yourself put a movie together as a producer or a director, you've really no idea whether the thing is going to succeed or not, even if you put a good story together with a lot of big stars and good acting?
I think no one has any real idea. You can just guess. You can think, well, this sounds like a good combination, but there's so many things that can go right and so many things that can go wrong from the inception of the project, from the story through the entire production, whether it's cast well or photographed well or recorded well. There's so many things that have to work. You just don't know, and then it's the mood of the public at the time. You might turn out a very fine film, but it's not one that has broad appeal, or it might have critical appeal and not broad appeal, or vice versa. So you just kind of are guessing, but by and large you're just relying on your own instincts and feeling about it.
Sometimes the critics have been hard on you. Do you put a great deal of faith in the critics? Do they affect what you do?
No, you go ahead and make a film without any thought of that. Of course, one thing that always makes you keep your feet on the ground is if you get a bad review, you're mad at the critic, and you say you think he's wrong, but if you get a good review, he can be wrong too. So you have to always keep that in mind. That keeps your feet very solidly planted.